There comes a time when you have to stop waiting for the person you want to be and start being them. Bruce Springsteen. Introduction. So, you want to become a leader. Maybe you are an experienced leader who wants to continually grow personally and improve your leadership skills. Or maybe you have difficulties in working with people and want to learn how to solve such problems. Or you have just joined a new team and are burning with the desire to take it to the next level. These are all very worthy goals. Whatever your reasons for striving for leadership, you will definitely benefit from this practical 90-day leadership development course. Why? Because the successes and failures of any endeavor depend on leadership. Consequently, if you want to make a positive impact on the world, you must learn to be a leader. Leadership is my passion and my life's work. I have been on this path for more than 50 years and am happy to share my knowledge and experience with others. As I began my journey, I asked myself a number of questions. Who is a leader? What is leadership? Where does it start? What should I do first? How do you increase your influence on other people? How to create an effective team? How to improve your leadership skills? Sometimes these issues present some challenges. But that does not mean that leadership should be scary or confusing. In fact, anyone can discover or improve their leadership skills. Why do I say this? Because leadership is about influence. If you can increase your influence over others, you will become a more effective leader. Too often leadership is associated with career advancement. This is the wrong approach. The first thing to think about is developing your leadership skills. The criterion for successful leadership is not your personal achievements, but the achievements of your team. If your team is getting better, you are getting better as a leader. For the next 90 days, you will be provided with a clear plan of action to enrich your arsenal of knowledge and skills in the key areas of leadership. First, you will learn how to shift your focus from status to relationships. When you earn people's respect and trust, they will want to follow you. After that, we'll focus on building an effective team and finish with a focus on how to develop leadership skills in others and help them realize their potential. Regardless of your current level of leadership or the complexity of the task at hand, you have the opportunity to improve your leadership skills starting today. You can become a more successful and influential leader. All it takes, and all I ask of you, is to devote 15 minutes a day to leadership training for 3 months. Think about the inspirational quote, read the short lesson and reflect on the question it contains, then write down the answer to it and/or take action. If you are not yet in a leadership position, using the principles in this book will open the door to leadership. Ready? Then let's do it. Day 1. The secret of success in life is a willingness to seize the moment. Benjamin Disraeli. When a person is appointed to a leadership position for the first time, it usually means that they see leadership potential. And that's a good thing. So if you are invited to lead something, you can congratulate yourself on taking your first meaningful step toward leadership. You will have a seat at the VIP table, and you will have the opportunity to voice your opinion and make decisions. At the outset, your goal should be to live up to the trust placed in you. Who gave you the opportunity to lead others? What qualities of yours may have influenced this decision? Day 2. Destiny is not a matter of chance, but the result of choice. Destiny is not expected, it is created. William Jennings Bryan. Leadership is not a mystical gift, but a practical activity, and anyone can develop leadership skills. What kind of leadership potential do you have? Do you have the ability and desire to be a good or even outstanding leader? There is only one way to find out. Take the challenge, make the effort to grow, and take the plunge into leadership. Once you make that choice, you will never regret it, because there is no better way to increase your positive impact on the world and benefit others than by developing your leadership skills. Think about the people you consider to be outstanding leaders. What qualities do you think make them successful? What qualities do you admire? Are you able to develop these qualities in yourself? Day 3. A true leader is one whose appointment is approved in the minds and hearts of his subordinates. Infantryman's Journal, 1954. Any leadership position gives a person a certain amount of power and authority. The power may be very limited at first, but that is natural, because you first have to prove yourself in a small way. If you are an executive, you have to learn how to use your power well, develop your team and help the people you are leading. Do that and people will empower you even more. When that happens, you will become a true leader, not just a boss. Think and write down one thing you can do for the good of your team that your people are unable to do themselves. Day 4. The success of someone who has not yet become a leader is in self-development, and the success of a leader is in the development of others. Jack Welch. The road to leadership will only be successful if you continually develop and improve. To be an effective leader, you must understand that a leadership position does not make you a leader, it simply provides you with opportunities for further growth. Make the most of them and make growth your goal. If you do so, your influence will continually grow and you will maximize your leadership potential, whether it is modest or outstanding to begin with. Always keep moving forward and don't stop there. Make a list of areas in which you are strong. Mark with an asterisk an area in which you have been particularly successful. How can you develop it? Day 5. Leadership is not so much about actions as it is about personal qualities. Francis Hesselbein. If you have recently become a leader or have taken a new leadership position, now is the time to think about your leadership style. You are starting your own leadership story with a clean slate and it's up to you what it will be. What kind of leader do you want to be? Don't take the path of least resistance by blindly copying someone else's style. Take time and seriously think it over. Do you want to be a team builder? Do you dream of inspiring and motivating people? Or aspire to be a democratic leader who first asks questions and only then gives orders? Choose a style that maximizes not only your potential, but also the potential of others. Describe exactly how you want to lead. What type of leader are you closer to? Day 6. Life has taught me that leadership is about understanding yourself and using that understanding to build a successful organization. Captain Michael Abrashoff. Effective leadership begins with knowing your personality. Successful leaders know their strengths and weaknesses. They evaluate their character objectively and learn from life experiences. All these advantages allow them to develop their own daily, monthly, and seasonal rhythms and form effective work habits. True leaders know what they want and how to achieve it. They don't pretend to be anyone. Successful leaders acknowledge their shortcomings and emphasize their strengths. This enables them to adequately assess their capabilities and provide competent leadership. Knowing yourself is a long and painstaking process, but it is the foundation of effective leadership. Describe 2 or 3 instances from your practice that have helped you in your leadership activities. Day 7. The main quality of a leader is an impeccable moral character. Dwight Eisenhower. Successful leaders are an example to others, a kind of moral yardstick. Focus on your values, because they are the foundation of true leadership. To grow as a leader, you must not only have a clear idea of your values, but you must follow them at all times. To do this, you need to define your priorities in 3 key areas: morality, relationships, and success. If you commit to living your values, you will become a more holistic person. This will increase your credibility, and people will want to follow you. What does it mean to do good deeds for good purposes, moral values? How do you create an environment of trust and respect, relational values? What goals are worth dedicating your life to, success values? Day 8. What leads to change is not what you do from time to time, but what you do from day to day. Jenny Craig. If you want to become a more successful and influential leader, you must not only develop certain life values, but also put them into practice through good habits and constant practice. Your values should be reflected in your self-discipline, your work ethic, your relationships with people, and the example you set for them. They should set certain standards, and what those standards will be is up to you. The sooner you start developing good habits, the sooner you will be successful. Make a commitment to live up to your values and indicate how you intend to grow as a leader. Write down your commitment. Sign and date it. Day 9. Become a leader who will be followed willingly even if you don't have a title or position. Brian Tracy. In my early days of leadership, I mistakenly believed that a position automatically made me a leader. At that time I defined leadership as a position, not an activity. Although I was officially listed as senior pastor, the real leader of the parish was a simple farmer named Claude, who had done many good works and gained unquestioned authority. He later explained to me what was going on. "John, all that paper with signatures is like a pig's tail. It has no effect on the quality of the bacon." In other words, leadership is an activity, not a position. Dynamics, not statics. Leaders always lead others. They don't stand still. If there is no momentum, there is no leadership. When do you define leadership as a position rather than an activity? How can you change this? Day 10. The key to successful leadership is influence, not power. Kenneth Blanchard. Leadership is about influence, and regardless of type, scope, or goals, it takes time and effort to work effectively with people. You must consider the fact that all people have their own hopes, dreams, desires, and goals. And your job as a leader is to align the corporate vision with the personal interests of each employee. To do this, you must know your people well, believe in them, and support them. Evaluate them as an asset, not a liability. Leadership is about working with people. List 3 actions you could take to improve your skills in this area. Try to accomplish at least one of them this week. Day 11. Almost all people can endure adversity, but if you want to test a person's character, give them power. Abraham Lincoln. Every newly minted leader is tempted to use his or her power for personal gain. Let's face it, power can be heady and even intoxicating. But remember, the right to use directive measures does not mean that it should be done. You must strive to become a true leader without relying on your rights or abusing your authority. At the more mature stage of leadership, your focus will shift from serving yourself to serving others. Are there areas where you need to shift your focus from rights to responsibilities in order to better serve people? Describe the changes or steps needed to do so. Day 12. Management is organization and management. Leadership is about nurturing and development. Have you ever heard the saying, "It's lonely at the top"? Well, that does not apply to leadership. In this case, it is important to understand the function and purpose of leadership. Being a leader does not mean being the king of the mountain, opposing others. A true leader goes to success side by side with his people. If you stand alone on the mountain, then of course you will be lonely. But if you are surrounded by like-minded people, this is hardly possible. When do you walk side by side with your people, and when do you stand alone as king of the mountain? How must you change? Day 13. One of the criteria for leadership is the ability to recognize a problem before it becomes a disaster. Arnold Glasow. A manager at any level is faced with staff turnover. It is an unavoidable reality of all organizations. The question to ask yourself in this context is, who is leaving me? The best people or the mediocre? If the best are leaving and the mediocre are coming, then you need to think about why this is the case. Good managers and employees almost always leave because of poor leadership and an unfavorable work environment. In other words, they are not satisfied with the human element, not the work itself. People leave people, not companies. Describe the trend in employee turnover in your area of responsibility. What does this say about your leadership style? Day 14. You can buy a man's time, you can buy his physical presence. But you can't buy enthusiasm, you can't buy devotion, you can't buy hearts, minds, and souls. All of these things must be won. Clarence Francis. If your people are just sitting around from call to call and doing exactly what is required of them to get paid and keep their jobs, that's another reason to think. The physical presence but mental absence of employees is hugely detrimental to the organization because this mood is contagious. To reach new levels of leadership, you must work hard to motivate your subordinates. Success requires more than most people are willing to offer, but not more than they are able to give. And it often depends on the competence of the leadership. What constructive actions can you take to encourage and motivate your team members? Is there anything you can do today? If yes, do it. If not, consider when you will do it and mark a specific date on your calendar. Day 15. A leader does not tell people where to go and what to do. He goes there himself and shows them how and what to do. Ken Kesey. Good leaders trust their people. They treat them as individuals, not as subordinates. If you want to become a people-oriented leader, you have to think in the following categories. Side by side, let's work together. Initiative, I'm on an equal footing with you. Involvement, what do you think? Cooperation, together we can win. Service, I am here to help you. Development, I want to do you good. Encouragement, I believe you can do it. Innovation, let's think outside the box. In light of the above qualities of a people-oriented leader, objectively assess the competence of your employees. Day 16. Leadership is the ability to transform vision into reality. Warren Bennis. I know from experience that good leaders don't take anything for granted. They understand that authority has to be earned. Real leaders never rest on their laurels and are not satisfied with the results they achieve, because dissatisfaction is synonymous with motivation. They always lead people and the organization forward, toward a vision of the future. Good leaders must be willing to give up anything that gets in the way of achieving it. Let the vision of a better future inspire you and your people to go beyond job descriptions and trivial rules. It's time to take action and lead others. Write down the vision for your organization and how your team contributes to its realization. Then identify specific steps you can take to make it easier for your people to accomplish this vision. Add them to your must-do list. Day 17. Whoever wants to change the world must first change himself. Socrates. True leaders understand that it is their responsibility to go after their people. Leaders are initiators. If you want to increase your level of leadership, you must go beyond your territory, job description, and comfort zone, both in work matters and in your relationships with people. You must get to know your employees better, identify their needs, and help them and the entire team succeed. Leadership is the ability to take risks in working with people, but know that those risks are justified and they will pay off. How well do you know your team members? Write down their names and everything you know about them: family, dreams, desires, interests, history, goals. If you don't know any of the people well enough, try to fill that gap and talk to at least one of them this week. Day 18. You don't need a title to be a leader. Multiple attribution. While our culture values titles, the truth is that titles are just fluff, candy wrappers, and you have to learn to treat them that way. People who set their sights on achieving certain titles or positions are not striving to realize their leadership potential. In fact, all that matters is your personality and the work you do. If your work benefits people, you don't need titles. Realizing that the position you hold is the lowest level of leadership brings a healthy sense of dissatisfaction with your position, as does the desire to grow and create positive change. The position is not the end goal, but the starting point on the road to leadership. How can you identify your contribution to your team or organization? Day 19. Outstanding leaders do everything they can to raise the self-esteem of their staff. If people believe in themselves, they can move mountains. If you want to become a more successful leader, you can't do without directives. You have to develop relationships. Why? Because people do the work, not their computers. And because people are the strength of any organization, they are the most valuable and powerful asset. It takes time to build the right skills in your people, but letting people know that you value them, expressing your appreciation for them and showing interest in them as individuals costs nothing. These positive changes are made quickly and produce instant results. Think about the people you supervise. Thank one of them in front of the whole team and pay attention to the response. Try to make this a regular occurrence. Day 20. Ask your team if they know the answer. Chuck Carlson. The uncertainty and immaturity of a leader can make him a kind of know-it-all. But this is positional thinking. True leaders think differently. They know that their job is not to know everything, but to gather people around them who know what you do not know. Recognizing that a team is smarter than one person, I stopped giving my people answers and encouraged them to seek those answers together. This tactic transforms your leadership not only because you can be yourself and stop pretending to be all-knowing, but also because it harnesses the power of collaborative thinking. What are some of the questions you are asked that you cannot answer? Which members of your team are able to help you with this? Schedule time in your schedule to meet and talk with these people. Day 21. If you want help, help others. If you want to gain trust, trust others. If you want love, give it away. If you want to make friends, become friends yourself. If you want to make a great team, be a great team player yourself. That's the law. Dan Zadra. To increase your level of leadership, you need to develop people skills. Good leadership means good interpersonal relationships. Leaders need to set an example for others. This challenges them to develop the abilities and capabilities of their people. Effective leadership is about collaboration, delegation, and the ability to sacrifice personal ambition for the success of the team and the vision of the organization. A leader must go beyond his or her own self and be willing to move forward slowly enough for people to keep up with him or her. Once you decide to take others on your leadership journey, it is sure to succeed. Do you have to sacrifice positive interactions with people to get things done? If so, you are undermining your leadership. What can you do to make a difference? Day 22. Leadership is an opportunity to serve. J. Donald Walters. Leaders often focus their efforts on serving themselves or their organization and give too little time to people. Leaders who have reached a higher level shift their focus from I to we. They love people and treat them as individuals. True leaders gain authority through relationships, not through their position. This shift in focus promotes positive change in the work environment. The psychological climate improves. A team spirit begins to form. Shoulds are replaced by wants. The work environment becomes more favorable for both leaders and their followers. What adjectives can you use to describe the work and interaction of your people? Underline those adjectives that apply to you as well. Do they have a positive meaning? Which ones do you need to change? Day 23. The best investment of time is an investment in people. Kenneth Blanchard and Spencer Johnson. Being able to spend time with the people I love gives me incomparable pleasure. That's because good relationships energize you and create a positive attitude. When you invest your time and effort in people and in forming effective relationships, you get a tremendous amount of energy. When people feel liked, cared for, involved and trusted, they go out of their way to meet their leader and each other, and they give it their all because they know that their leader only wants the best for them. How can you invest your time and energy more effectively in the lives of the people you lead? What step in that direction will you take today? Day 24. Among other things, true leaders are open-minded. They do not isolate themselves from the team, nor do they adhere to established canons and rules. True leaders are informal. They create a cult of their own availability and communicate freely with people. Jack Welch. Do you know how to listen to people? Recently I came across an interpretation of the Chinese character for the verb to listen. It consists of small symbols that translate as you, eyes, heart, ear and undivided attention. In other words, by opening my channels of communication and listening attentively, I must place my own at the interlocutor's complete disposal. Ears, I hear what you say. Eyes, I see what you say. Heart, I feel what you say. Undivided attention, I appreciate you and what you say. Only then can you build positive relationships and convince people to follow you. What are your listening skills? What can you do to create a more open and trusting environment in your team? Day 25. A true leader comes forward in times of danger and stays in the shadows in times of celebration. If you want cooperation from those around you, let them feel important. Nelson Mandela. Effective leadership is based on relationships. Relationships are only possible when people respect and value each other. If there is no respect, there is no relationship. You can take care of people without leading them, but you cannot effectively lead people without taking care of them. As a leader, you can raise the value bar in this area. You just have to make that decision and let people know that they are valued and seen as individuals, not just a workforce. This attitude has a positive effect on people and strengthens the credibility of the leader. Page. Are there people in your environment with whom you find it difficult to work? Think about what this has to do with them. What can you do to improve your relationships? Day 26. In crisis situations, people will align themselves with those they can trust, those who are with them, not those who keep their distance. James Stockdale. To grow as a leader, you have to stop trying to impress others for the sake of maintaining your position and start developing trust for the sake of strengthening team relationships. If you are at one with your people, they will trust you. The more they trust you, the better your relationship and therefore the stronger your credibility as a leader. This is a creative process that takes time, energy, and purposeful work. Relationships are a safety cushion in tough times and a launching pad in times of opportunity. Trust allows people to create freely, share their opinions, ask questions, take initiative, and take risks. Without it, teamwork is impossible and the credibility of the leader is close to zero. How much trust does your team have in you? Can your people create freely, share their opinions, ask questions, take initiative, and take risks? How can you gain even more trust? Day 27. I can't give you the formula for success, but I can give you the formula for failure. Try to please everybody. Herbert Swope. At the beginning of my leadership career, I was quick to build relationships with people and make decisions that earned everyone's approval. Only the crisis of power made me realize my mistake and realize that I was trying to please everyone. And that was wrong. As a leader, I was supposed to help people, not please them. That realization changed my approach to leadership. For the first time ever, I felt free of the opinions of others and was able to focus on what I thought was necessary for the organization and its people. Trying to please everyone is unprofessional and fundamentally impossible. If you recognize yourself in this story, then you too need to stop playing the good manager and learn how to make tough decisions. Think back to a time when you sacrificed your opinion for a popular solution. What alternatives did you have? Can you apply what you learned to any of your current situations? Day 28. The most sensible thing to advise leaders is to treat all people equally regardless of their position. James McGregor Burns. In a tough, dynamic, competitive environment, relational and caring leadership can be seen as weak, especially if you have a natural inclination toward action, rather than interaction. For this reason, some people ignore this approach, which is not only a mistake but also a hindrance to realizing their leadership potential. If you focus on productivity but ignore relationships, it may lead to progress in the short term, but in the long term you will fail because people will drift away from you or burn out. To be a successful leader, you have to learn how to combine the two. Do you put productivity before relationships? If so, how can you become more people-oriented? Day 29. The fields of a wide variety of industries are strewn with the bones of those organizations whose leadership has lost moral authority, where they believed in taking rather than giving, where they did not understand that a company's most valuable asset is its people. Leroy Kurtz. Task-oriented leaders want results, and they want them now. As a rule, they don't intend to slow down for the sake of someone or something. But the process of building relationships takes time. It can be long and painstaking. If you're a task-oriented leader, you may be saying to yourself, I don't need to develop relationships to be a good leader. I'll tell you this, at first, as long as you're winning, people are willing to follow you even if you use tough measures. But if you keep this up and ignore relationships, you're going to have detractors. Remember, if you go uphill on the heads of others, they can trip you up on the way down. With which team members should you build relationships? In what aspects do you need to reconsider your position? What will you do about it? Day 30. Trust people, and they will be faithful to you. Treat them as great people, and they will show their true greatness. Ralph Waldo Emerson. When leaders are relationship-oriented, their followers get closer to them. Sometimes followers mistake kindness for weakness and do not see the need for boundaries. They believe that their empowerment allows them to do whatever they want. As a result, they use leaders to their advantage. Relationship orientation is a risk of experiencing tremendous frustration. But it is also an opportunity to make loyal friends and trusted associates for life. I hope you will choose a relationship-oriented approach. I made that choice early enough and I don't regret it one bit, though there have certainly been some bitter moments. However, most people respect relationships, get them right, and have been invaluable to me. Have you ever had the feeling that you were being taken advantage of? How have you handled the situation? How would you resolve it today? Day 31. The most important quality of a leader is not perfection, but the ability to inspire confidence. Rick Warren. Most people don't want to admit their mistakes, blunders, and shortcomings. They keep their distance, so that the secret does not become obvious. And as they move up the career ladder, the desire to hide their weaknesses becomes even stronger. However, if leaders are trying to erect a barrier between themselves and their people, they will not be able to build an effective relationship. Writer and pastor Rick Warren notes, "You can impress people from a distance, but to influence them, you have to get closer." To form authentic relationships, leaders must also be authentic. They have to admit their mistakes, lapses, and shortcomings. In other words, they have to be mere mortals. And this is not easy. Are you afraid to show your weaknesses to your team? What are those weaknesses? How can you build a more trusting relationship with your people? Day 32. Leadership is not so much about words as it is about attitudes and actions. Harold Jenin. Maybe you don't have a natural aptitude for working with people. Maybe you sometimes find it difficult to build a relationship with someone because you lack sympathy. In that case, do the following: make a decision to care for others. Loving people and caring for them is within your power. Make that choice. There is something good in everyone, you just have to find it. Make it a rule to find positive qualities in people, especially if they are members of your team. Make a list of all your team members and indicate what qualities you admire about them. How do these qualities contribute to the success of the team? Day 33. Why do I always hire a whole person when all I need is a pair of hands? Henry Ford. Let's face it, relationships are hard work. Many managers would prefer to limit their work with people to the office, but the reality is that we are always hiring the whole person, with all their flaws, problems, and quirks. This can be difficult and discouraging. But good leaders understand that leadership is all about interacting with people in all their diversity. True leaders are able to accept hard truths, admit mistakes and shortcomings, and face reality. They do not avoid problems but solve them. It is merciful and fair. Relationship-oriented leaders understand that conflict is an integral part of progress and is often constructive. Are there problems on your team that you prefer to avoid? Write down which of these problems and how you will solve them today. Day 34. When I look back, I see that my life was an obstacle course, with the biggest obstacle being myself. Jack Parr. One of the secrets of successful interaction with people is knowing and accepting yourself. In my book Winning with People, I call this the mirror principle, which states that before you judge others, you should look at yourself. Relationship work should always start with yourself. This means that you must examine your personality like a student examines a course. Identify your strengths and weaknesses. Analyze how you think, feel, and act in different situations. By being honest with yourself, you should make responsible decisions that will change your life for the better. After that, forget about yourself and shift your focus to others. You will now relate to people as a strong individual. Make an honest review of your strengths and weaknesses. Write them down. What areas of your life can you change for the better? What actions will you take to do this and when? Day 35. Leadership and learning are inseparable. John Fitzgerald Kennedy. Successful leaders do not rely on directives and do not depend on systems. They work with people's emotions. They think more about human potential and trust than authority and job descriptions. True leaders never lead with a whip. Those who do should remember that any whip will break at some point. Instead, they take an individualized approach to their work. They listen, they learn, and only then they lead. Good leaders develop relationships. They have an open-door policy and know that those doors open both ways. This allows them to move freely in the communication space and interact with their people. How would your people characterize your personalized approach? List 3 actions you can take to improve your interactions today. Day 36. An organization is a system with a soul, and effective leaders understand that. Herb Kelleher. True leaders never ignore the human factor. They always consider the interests, opinions, and feelings of their people. All the questions such leaders ask have to do with people. To become a true leader, it is not enough to know where to go and what to do. No matter how great your initiative is, it is not a fact that you will be allowed to carry it out. Good leaders always get to know their people's positions first, and then make the best decisions. To achieve this, you need to be consistent, remain optimistic, have active listening skills, and be yourself. Describe the aspirations, desires, and hopes of your team members. Don't know? Then find out, because that's the key to building effective relationships. Day 37. Do unto people as you would have them do unto you. Jesus Christ. There is a fine line between manipulating people for personal gain and motivating them for the common good. Effective leaders do not cross it by following the golden rule: treat people as you would have them treat you. This simple but very effective principle has universal application. By practicing the golden rule, a leader creates an atmosphere of mutual respect that completely changes the work environment of a department or organization. When leaders move from a directive relationship to a respectful one, their people begin to feel like shareholders, not stock. List 3 actions that you, following the golden rule, will take toward others today. Day 38. Kind words may be short and simple, but their echo is endless. Mother Teresa. Truett Cathy, founder of Chick-fil-A, once told me, "You know how I identify people who need encouragement and support? If a person is breathing, they need a friendly pat on the shoulder." I have yet to meet a person who doesn't like praise. As a leader, you are able to motivate and inspire your followers with encouragement. The words "I'm glad you're working with us," "You're a very valuable employee," spoken by a team, department, or organization leader mean a lot. If you want people to keep a positive attitude and always be happy to see you, encourage them. If you become a major inspiration to your team, they will perform better and strive to meet your expectations. Write down one positive phrase that you can sincerely say to each member of your team, and take time this week or next week to praise your people. Day 39. Leadership is not about making speeches and winning sympathy. Leadership is defined by results, not attributes. Peter Drucker. Some people think that to form effective relationships you need to treat your team like family. Others think that being a caring leader means letting your employees do whatever they want. Both approaches are wrong. People cannot be objective with their family members. I can't. Family is a whole other level of responsibility and commitment. No matter what my loved ones do, I still give them my unconditional love. They have privileges that I don't extend to other people. With loved ones, you have to compromise all the time. Family and team are built on different values. In a family, the sense of community trumps personal contribution. In business, it's the other way around. The best teams strive for the golden mean. Are there people on your team who want to be treated like family members? What can you say to restore the balance between their personal contribution and their sense of community? Day 40. The worthy goal of leadership is to help the laggards become successful and the successful become successful. Jim Rohn. Everyone faces problems and makes mistakes. Everyone needs support to grow and get better. As a leader, you can and must help your followers do this. I believe that people can change their life attitudes and develop their abilities, so I tell them what they need to do that. If you want to help your people grow, you have to be willing to have candid conversations. So how do you be a relationship-oriented leader and still be able to motivate people to move forward? By combining caring and candor. Caring without candor leads to dysfunctional relationships, candor without caring leads to distant relationships, and only a balance of caring and candor leads to effective relationships. When your people have problems, do you show concern without candor or candor without concern? What can you do to achieve a middle ground? Day 41. Sincere reproaches from the one who loves, and false kisses from the one who hates. Book of Proverbs of Solomon 27:6. To be a successful leader, you have to value people. This is the key to effective relationships. Taking care of people shows that you appreciate them. But if you want to help them become better, you have to give them sound advice. This requires candor. You must think, speak, and act in the context of what potential a person has and help them realize their potential. Being frank does not mean harm. The work of a leader in this case can be compared to that of a surgeon. The operation may be painful, but it is aimed at healing. As a leader, you must be willing and able to do it. Otherwise, you will not be able to help your people grow and change. Think back to a frank conversation that did not lead to positive results. If you could repeat it, what would you say differently? How would you emphasize people's potential and help them realize it? Day 42. To lead is to serve. Neither more nor less. Andre Malraux. To help you maintain a balance between caring and candor, I have developed a special questionnaire. If you can answer the following questions affirmatively before having a frank conversation, you stand a good chance of achieving positive results. Have I worked on my relationships enough to expect honesty? Do I really value these people as individuals? Am I sure it's their problem and not mine? Am I sure I'm not having this conversation to harass them? Is the problem more important than the relationship? Does this conversation really have their best interests at heart, not just mine? Am I willing to invest the time and energy to help my people change? Am I willing to give practical advice rather than just pointing out mistakes? Am I ready and able to set expectations clearly and understandably? Think about which team members you need to talk frankly with, and then answer the questions on the questionnaire. Day 43. One of the keys to successful leadership is the ability to unlock and realize the potential of your people. Unknown author. Most of the executives I talk to avoid difficult conversations with their people. As a rule, it is for one of two reasons. They either don't like confrontation or they are afraid of offending the person. The fact is, not everyone responds adequately to frank conversations. Agree, the truth can be painful. So before the next debriefing, just remember the following rules. Do it quickly, don't wait for the snowball to turn into a snowball. Do it quietly, never losing your temper. Use the people questionnaire, day 42. Do it face to face, you want to help the person, not embarrass them. Do it thoughtfully, in a way that minimizes embarrassment or fear. Do you avoid difficult conversations with your team members? Why is that? What step will you take today to change this situation? Day 44. Effective leadership involves taking responsibility for the well-being of the group. This means that not everyone will be happy with your decisions and actions. But if you are a man of principle, this is inevitable. Colin Powell. The strength of a relationship is determined by the care people have for each other. But caring does not mean that people go in the same direction. Mobilizing a team toward a common goal is a leader's responsibility, and it often requires integrity. A friend of mine, Colin Sewell, owner of a chain of car dealerships, once told me, leaders have to make decisions in the interest of the majority. And since they do, they can't go after individual team members if it hurts the team or the organization. Effective leaders are always focused on results and never lose sight of them. If you want to successfully lead people, you must be a man of principle. Do you have a tendency to let individual members of the team down to the detriment of the overall interests and goals? How can you change this situation? Day 45. A true leader must have an open-door policy so that his people are not afraid to approach him. Harold Jenin. Let me remind you of one more thing about working with people and trust. Candor is a two-way street. If you want to be an effective leader and have the trust of your people, you must allow them to be frank with you. You must encourage feedback and be a mature and strong enough individual to adequately take criticism and learn from it. Warren Bennis, a leadership expert, observed, effective leaders encourage and reward openness and disagreement. They understand that the temporary discomfort of criticism is more than offset by constructive feedback that helps them make good decisions. Caring for people, collegial decision-making, and building strong relationships are the 3 keys to successful leadership. What do you do to make sure that your people are not afraid to come to you? Which members of your team can you improve your feedback with? Day 46. You can come up with the most wonderful idea in the world, but it takes people to make it a reality. Walt Disney. Leaders by nature have vision and strategic thinking. They dream big and want to win by a wide margin. But a great vision without a great team often turns into a nightmare, because only teamwork makes the dream a reality. Often leaders share their vision with me and ask, "Do you think my people will believe it?" They should have asked the question differently, "Will my people believe in me?" The value of a leader's vision is not the key to his or her success. First, people have to believe in you as a leader. And to do that, you have to earn their trust. Have you earned your people's trust and the right to lead them? How do you justify your answer? How can you increase your credibility? Day 47. A leader leads people where they want to go. A great leader leads them where they need to be. Rosalind Carter. To succeed as a leader, you must be willing to put all of your relationship skills at risk to realize the vision. It is true that this presents the leader with a difficult choice: narrow the vision or develop your people to realize it. If you want to do great things, you have to take people out of their comfort zone. They may resist it. They may walk away from you. Finally, they may simply not be able to do it. If you take risks and win, your people gain confidence, begin to trust you even more and strive to meet new, more difficult challenges. But if you take risks and fail, you lose people's credibility. In this case, you will have to rebuild a relationship with them. But there is no progress without risk, so you just need to get used to it. How do you develop your people to achieve the vision? What else can you do to get them out of their comfort zone? Day 48. Outstanding leaders set new goals for themselves and constantly challenge them. Thomas Watson. Efficiency is the criterion that distinguishes true leaders from people who simply occupy leadership positions. True leaders always achieve their goals. They can have a significant impact on the organization. Not only are they highly personally productive, but they also create a work environment that promotes productive work for the entire team. This cannot be imitated. You either contribute to the success of your organization or you don't. If you want to grow as a leader, you must achieve your goals. There is no other way. What is the measure of effectiveness in your organization? Find a way to measure your personal contribution and your team's contribution to the overall success. Day 49. There are 2 types of people in the business community: those who get results and those who make excuses for why they didn't. Peter Drucker. Performance has always been a key factor in success and leadership. True leaders know how to achieve high performance, and they demonstrate it not by words, but by deeds. They give their all and lead by example. Their ability to achieve their goals drowns out the voices of their critics and builds their reputation. Successful leaders lead their people to their goals, not send them there. They are tour guides rather than travel agents. Why? Because people always trust what we do more than what we say. Consequently, a leader's credibility can be defined in one word: example. List the qualities that you consider to be your strengths. What do you do best? How can you further develop these qualities? Day 50. Example is not the main factor in influencing people, it is the only factor. Albert Einstein. Effective leaders always influence their followers. Productivity makes people head and shoulders above others. And when an effective leader finishes the painstaking work of building relationships, his leadership takes on real power. This is true because effective leaders set an example for their people and set the standard for productivity for the entire team. It was for this reason that President Abraham Lincoln relieved General John Fremont of his command of the army. His chief fault is that he keeps to himself in isolation and allows no one to approach him. Lincoln knew that leaders must stand by their men and inspire them to great things. When leaders are productive, their people are also productive. Effective leaders are focused on results, both personal and team results. They point the way, and others follow. How do you communicate your team's goals and achievements? How can you increase your influence through personal example? Day 51. Leadership is the ability to turn vision into reality. Warren Bennis. True leaders constantly communicate the vision of the organization to the people they lead. They do this lucidly, creatively, and consistently. However, sometimes not everyone understands and accepts their messages. Therefore, effective leaders back up their words with action. By seeing the positive results of achieving goals, people begin to understand more clearly what it means to turn a vision into reality. And with each day of productive work, they get one step closer to that reality, which inspires them and makes the vision more compelling. Productivity also broadens the vision, because as people become more proficient and confident, they begin to realize that they can do more than they ever imagined. When was the last time you broadcast the vision of the future to your team? Think carefully and write down that vision, identify the factors for its successful achievement, and communicate it as often and in all available ways as you can. Day 52. Combat spirit is a state of mind. It is resilience, courage, and hope. It is trust, enthusiasm, and loyalty. It is an indomitable will to win. Everything is possible with it, nothing is possible without it. George Marshall. Many leaders try to solve problems by directive measures or put them on the shoulders of others. But the truth is that leaders cannot delegate problem solving. They have to overcome difficulties, resolve conflicts, correct mistakes, and lead people in the right direction. True leaders do just that. The historian and essayist Thomas Carlyle observed, "There is nothing like achievement to boost self-esteem and confidence." And when leaders' effectiveness becomes contagious and spreads to the team, it solves many problems, even those beyond the reach of top management and experts. Productivity inspires. Effective people produce good results. And good results create a positive attitude and high morale. How do you help your people solve problems? What else can you do to increase their morale and productivity? Day 53. When you win, any pain goes away. Joe Namath. What is the most effective way to solve problems? Using momentum to move forward. How does a leader create that momentum? By helping the team win victories. If you don't think about your team's successes, you don't have the mindset of a leader. Think through feasible individual goals for your people and allow them to experience the joy of personal victory. Then set attainable goals for the whole team. The more individual and team victories you have, the more challenging the tasks you can accomplish and the more momentum you'll be able to create. Think through feasible individual goals to increase the self-esteem and motivation of your people. Is there a way to transform their wins into team goals? Day 54. If you move by inertia, you either lose momentum or you slide down. Joan Welch. When an organization maintains high morale and high performance, it gains momentum, which is a leader's best friend because it makes any task easier. That is why I call it the great gas pedal. The same can be said of the leadership momentum. Create it, and you will surpass your potential. Remember what happened to Apple when it introduced the iPhone. It set a powerful momentum going forward and significantly increased market share not only in smartphones, but also in computers. As a result, it went from being a niche company with a relatively small but stable user segment to the undisputed world leader and is still going strong. That is why I advise leaders to spend more time creating momentum. How would you rate your team's current level of productivity and morale? What can you do to improve it and create momentum? Day 55. Don't worry about making friends or getting rid of enemies. Worry about winning, because if you win, your enemies can't hurt you, and if you lose, your friends can't count on you. Paul Bryant. Effective leaders understand the importance of momentum and use it to the advantage of the organization. They also understand that there are 3 types of people depending on their relationship to momentum. Adherents take a passive stance. Their performance depends almost entirely on the dominant momentum. Therefore, they need effective leaders who can create a productive environment. Disruptors undermine morale, create problems, and not only do nothing themselves, but also prevent others from working. Motivators are leaders who implement goals and achieve results, creating momentum moving forward. Motivators should be prioritized and placed in strategic positions where they can add the most value to the team. Which members of your team do you consider motivators? How can you invest more time and effort in their development to get the most out of them? Day 56. Team cohesion is the key to success. You can have the world's best stars under your wings, but if they don't play together, your club isn't worth a dime. Babe Ruth. When you and your team work productively, your credibility as a leader grows. In most organizations, this makes you a winner, and winners attract people strong, weak, and mediocre. The key to building a successful team is the ability to recognize, select, and retain the best of them. However, having talented people on a team does not guarantee its success. You can lose with good players, but you definitely cannot win without them. Building a cohesive team is crucial to success. This will take time. But remember, if you're not an effective leader, you can't attract and retain effective people. That's why you have to perform well as individuals and lead with your own personal example. Which of your people would you say are highly effective team players? Do they work closely with the team or independently? If the latter, what can you do to strengthen their team spirit? Day 57. The key to successful team building is the leader's position that each person is unique and valuable. Unknown author. All outstanding leaders are highly effective, but not all highly effective leaders are leaders. Personal success does not always translate into team success. Leadership is defined by what one does with and for others. It focuses on making the team more cohesive and productive. It is measured by the achievements of the entire group, not by the personal efforts of the official. True leadership is never based on self-interest. Sometimes when I've seen a leader accomplish goals, I've thought, oh, this person would make a great leader, but later it turns out that he was only trying for himself, ignoring and demoralizing his team. That's not leadership. Personal effectiveness is only a prerequisite for effective leadership, but true leaders must strive to raise the entire team to a higher level. Define your criteria for successful leadership. Write an honest review of how you are taking your team to the next level. Day 58. No leader, even the most outstanding one, can maintain his position for long if he does not win. Bernard Law Montgomery. I once saw a comic about a production meeting where the host said, "We run our business like a game show. If you win, you stay in the game. If you lose, you get parting consolation prizes." Funny, but relevant. Productivity is measurable. Organizational growth is tangible. Profitability is quantifiable. Unsuccessful managers who fail to improve these metrics are reprimanded, successful ones are rewarded and given new, more challenging tasks. High performance requires high commitment. Effective leaders understand that the price of leadership is the constant burden of responsibility for their team's success. The higher the productivity, the heavier that burden. You need inner strength to carry the burden of responsibility on your shoulders. What do you draw your energy and inspiration from? How can you make these sources your life priorities? Day 59. Be prepared to make decisions. This is the most important quality of a good leader. Boone Pickens. Whatever thriving organization you've taken on, you can rest assured that its leaders have made and are making very tough decisions. Success is an uphill journey. You don't move toward effective leadership by inertia. If you want to develop your leadership skills, be prepared to make tough decisions. At first, during the relationship building phase, they will be about people. Later, production decisions will be added to them. This is another heavy burden of leadership. I already told you about the difficulty I had in making decisions early in my career. Today, looking back, I regret more the decisions I didn't make than the wrong ones. Don't make my mistakes and don't fall into the trap of indecision. What difficult decision is facing you today? Are you hesitating to make it? If so, what will you do to move the situation forward? Day 60. Doing the right thing is wonderful. Teaching others to do the right thing is even more wonderful and much easier. Mark Twain. As I built strong team relationships and strengthened my leadership position, I had to make difficult decisions for myself. They required change, honesty, and self-discipline. To grow as a leader, you have to make some tough decisions. Become successful before you start helping to make it happen. Set a higher standard for yourself than for your team. To be responsible to other people. Set realistic goals and achieve them. Take responsibility for personal results. Acknowledge your mistakes and failures and do it quietly and humbly. Not to demand more from others than from yourself. Measure your success by your results, not your intentions. Don't take on things you can't do. Going first is no easy task, but the leader must always pave the way for his followers and help them successfully overcome it. Review the list above and check the statements that apply to you. What can you do to improve the other areas? Day 61. Do your thing so well that people want to see it again and bring others with them. Walt Disney. One of the keys to leadership is understanding how to use your talents and abilities productively for the benefit of the entire organization. This is partly a personal challenge. Earlier we talked about the importance of knowing yourself and your leadership style. This is somewhat different. If you're a leader, you have to have a vision for your leadership. And it should coincide with the corporate vision, at least at this stage. Identifying your strengths and opportunities is quite time-consuming and sometimes difficult, but you will know how to add the most value to your organization. The more you focus on your talents, the faster and more effectively your leadership potential develops. What do you know about your talents and abilities? How can you focus on them to increase your productivity? Day 62. The essence of leadership is to have a vision. And that vision must be clearly, persuasively, and relentlessly articulated. You cannot go at random. Theodore Hesberg. Broadcasting a vision is an integral part of leadership. Poor communication leads to unclear understanding of tasks and inadequate execution. Productive leaders create a clear connection between the organization's vision and the team's daily performance. They define and redefine the criteria for success, both personal and team. Effective leaders show how short-term goals affect long-term goals. They articulate their thoughts clearly and lead their team step by step in the right direction. A compelling vision is clear, well-articulated, sweeping, and inspiring. It aligns with overall team values, aligns with the team's capabilities, and focuses on results, not the means to achieve them. And when that vision is understood and accepted, it generates enthusiasm. Does your vision generate enthusiasm when you communicate it to the team? Take time to formulate/reformulate the vision and criteria for success, then state them again. Day 63. Recognize the merits of those around you. John Wooden. Few things inspire people like winning. A leader's job is to help his or her team succeed. When team members achieve personal accomplishments, they have the desire to strive for more. If you want to inspire your people to succeed, celebrate their small daily victories. If possible, do it publicly to not only motivate people, but also to allow them to enjoy their journey to success. List 3 actions you can take today to celebrate the successes of your team members. Day 64. The task of the leader is to create a complementary team where participants make the most of their strengths and compensate for each other's weaknesses. Stephen Covey. When there is a strong relationship in a team, people start to like being together. But as production activities begin, they begin to work together. Working together starts the team-building process. Ideally, every manager should strive to get his or her people to work together, leveraging their strengths and compensating for each other's weaknesses as effectively as possible. How to achieve this? First, you need to know the strengths and weaknesses of each player. Team members should complement each other, and in this case your task as a leader is to help them figure out their strengths and successfully implement them. Identify the personal contributions of each member of your team, including yourself, to your overall success. What qualities of your people are appropriate for the work they do? Day 65. Undoubtedly, a leader must have a clear vision of the future, but if it does not inspire enthusiasm and mobilize for success, then it is worthless. Leadership and communication are inseparable. Claude Taylor. Good leaders never assume that their people understand the team mission. They take nothing for granted. No wonder legendary NFL coach Vince Lombardi began his speech every season with the same phrase, "This is soccer." For the same reason John Wooden, the outstanding coach of the UCLA basketball team, taught his players how to put their socks on properly before each season so they wouldn't injure their feet. They wanted to make sure their men had all the knowledge they needed to accomplish their mission. Don't take for granted that your team knows what you know and believes what you believe. Don't assume that your people understand how their talents and efforts contribute to the success of the entire team. Tell them that as often as you can. Think about what your people really need to know to accomplish their mission. Tell them that today. Day 66. You can achieve more together than you can alone. Unknown author. Your team members need to get feedback on their work, and in this case it's your responsibility as a leader to provide them with that process. A friend of mine, a company executive and effective leader, decided to hold a half-yearly production meeting. She divided the board into 3 columns: done right, done wrong, and need to change, and asked everyone present to share their observations. This allowed her to get people's opinions on teamwork, analyze it together, and develop goals for the second half of the year that the team pledged to accomplish because she set them herself. The event proved so effective that it became an annual event. Do you regularly discuss with your team your successes, mistakes, and challenges? What can you do to make your people more accountable? Day 67. Real leadership is about leading others to success. To do this, everyone must work hard and follow through on the commitments they have made. Bill Owens. Leaders must create an environment in their teams that is conducive to growth, development, fruitful activity, and successful problem-solving. Your task is to inspire people and help them realize their maximum potential. This is the key to effective teamwork. More than anyone else, you set the tone and the general spirit. Your attitude is contagious. If you're positive, enthusiastic, and eager to grow, your people will be like you. If you want to succeed, recognize your influence and use it for the benefit of others. What tone do you set for your team? Be honest with yourself. What can you do right today to become more positive and inspiring? Day 68. Trying to achieve something by doing, and trying to do more of it is rarely successful. The people who built thriving companies used lists of things to do as well as lists of things to stop doing. They were disciplined enough to throw out all the junk. Jim Collins. To be an effective leader, you have to learn not just to work hard, but to work productively. This means being able to optimize time, tasks, resources, and even people. Focusing on the areas where you are strongest, where your efforts bring the most value, and avoiding weak areas is one of the keys to personal productivity. I've been guided by the 80-20 principle for years, and it helps me get my priorities right. Every day, I make a to-do list and focus 80% of my time on the 20% of the most important ones. To determine that 20%, I ask myself 3 questions. What is required of me? What do I have to do? What gives me the most value? What should I do? What brings me the most satisfaction? What do I enjoy doing? Your job is to gradually shift your time and attention to should and like as you develop your leadership skills. How do you optimize your time and tasks on a daily basis? What can you focus on today, guided by the 80-20 principle? Day 69. There is something rarer and more scarce than ability. It is the ability to recognize ability. Robert Half. Your goal as a leader should be to help all members of your team reach the should and like level, because that is where they can be most effective. Make it a rule of thumb to hire, train and position people so that 80% of the time they work in their strong zone, 15% in their learning zone and 0% in their weak zone. To do this, you must know your team members well, understand their strengths and weaknesses, and be willing to have heart-to-heart conversations. If you have done the proper work in building interpersonal relationships, you will be able to do these tasks. Make sure that all members of your team are working in their strong areas. If there is an imbalance somewhere, think about how you can correct it. Day 70. Change is the law of life, and those who look only to the past or present will surely miss the future. John F. Kennedy. Progress always requires change. This is a fact. Most leaders strive for progress. For them it is one of the main criteria for success. However, before you can make changes, you have to reach a level of real effectiveness. Why? Because team success builds trust in the leader and creates momentum for moving forward. It's extremely difficult to implement change when an organization stands still. Get it off the ground in either direction and you'll have an easier time moving forward. Managing change in an organization is always a management challenge. And change needs to be positive. The best way to initiate them is to use the same approach that you use to build relationships, find common ground. But you'll find out more about that tomorrow. Write down 3 positive changes you need to make on your team and how you can initiate them. Day 71. If you want to achieve collaboration and effective teamwork, remember, people resist what is imposed on them and support what they help create. Vince Pfaff. Progressive leaders are often tempted to emphasize differences and try to convince people to innovate. But that rarely works. It is better to focus on the similarities and build on those similarities. For a start, look for common ground in the following areas: vision. When people have the same vision, which they clearly represent and are eager to realize, you have all chances to achieve mutual understanding and cooperation. Values. It is hard to stay together for a long time if your values are not the same. Relationships. In effective teams, people are committed not only to the common cause, but also to the team. Attitude. If you are going to involve people in positive changes, they should have a strong positive attitude. Communication. It should be open and transparent. If you can find or create common ground in these 5 areas, you can move forward and successfully implement change. In what areas have you already found common ground, and what areas do you still need to work on in order to increase the effectiveness of teamwork? Day 72. People surrender more often than they fail. They give their all, overcome obstacles and difficulties, make the impossible possible, and give up when victory is just around the corner. Henry Ford. Real leaders continue to persevere to the heights of success. They create the momentum that keeps them from moving inertia or sliding downhill. True leaders set new, larger goals, successfully achieve them, and help their people do the same. How do they manage to stay focused and effective, despite all the successes and failures? This question is answered again by Henry Ford. Make your plans for the future so grandiose that the praise of others always seems very trivial compared to what you are really trying to do. It's better to do things that are too big for everyone's praise so big that you can break away from your applauders before they figure out your plans. Then you can work freely and continue your journey to success. How can you increase your sense of purpose and motivation to achieve long-term goals? Day 73. The road to success is always uphill. Paul Harvey. Constantly growing and developing your leadership skills is not easy. It requires effort and sacrifice. The skills that help you succeed today may not be effective tomorrow. To keep up with the times, you will have to give up some privileges and resources. You'll have to give up things you love that aren't giving you a good return on the time you've invested. And some people you would like to take with you will refuse to join you. Leaders learn to move forward by sifting through everything but priorities. No outstanding leader has yet said, "It was easier than I thought and took less time than I planned." So be prepared to make sacrifices in the name of success. Are there things you need to sacrifice to continue growing? Write them down and commit to them. Day 74. The function of leadership is to create more leaders, not followers. Ralph Nader. Leadership is an amazing journey, and leading a productive team is a dream journey. Achieving goals can be immensely satisfying. But the function of leadership is not just about working efficiently and getting things done. What is better than individual and team productivity? Generating new leaders from their environment. Great leaders measure their success by the achievements of their followers. This requires developing people and their leadership skills. If you already have a productive team, congratulations, you've accomplished more than many other leaders. But don't stop there. Start thinking about how to help your team members rise to the next level and realize their potential. Have you made the difficult decision to develop your people? Write that you are committed to investing your time and energy into developing your team members. Sign and date it. Day 75. Leadership is about unlocking the potential of others. Bill Bradley. How do you make your organization better? By investing time and effort in the people who work there. Companies are better when their people are better. That's why investing in people always pays off. All the ups and downs depend on leadership. The more leaders an organization has, the greater its effectiveness. The better the organization's leaders, the greater its potential. Investing in people cannot be overstated. The more you develop your employees, the more likely you are to successfully realize the corporate vision. When an organization is led by competent people and creates a positive, productive work environment, things get better. Which members of your team are capable of being your right hand in realizing your corporate vision? What can you do this week to develop their abilities? Write it down and execute it. Day 76. If employers are not investing in their workers, they are only trying to compete with their capital. Physical capital can always be replaced. The only resource that cannot be replaced is the dedication, teamwork, and skills of the company's employees. Robert Reich. People are the most valuable asset of any organization. True leaders invest their time, energy, money, and thinking into developing potential leaders. They believe that everyone has the potential to grow regardless of title, position, age, or experience. This practice of identifying and developing talent is a definite plus for any organization, as increased individual performance often serves as a catalyst for team performance. Successful development of one individual and his or her leadership skills lays the foundation for the successful development of others. Which members of your team do you see as having leadership potential? In what areas? Day 77. The test of leadership is not how skillful you are at leading people, but how skillful they are at doing without you. Ken Blanchard. In the early days of my leadership career, I had a huge disappointment. After I left, the organization I led fell into total disrepair. I had failed the leadership test. On reflection, I realized my mistake. It was that I was doing all the management work myself, so without me, everything fell apart. I didn't train people or train my own replacements, which not only made life harder for myself, but also limited the potential of my organization. It was after that I made developing potential leaders my priority, which greatly increased the effectiveness of my leadership and the organizations I subsequently led. Don't let yourself become indispensable. Give your team a chance at a bright future by developing new leaders in their midst. Do you do all the management work yourself? What steps can you take today to delegate your responsibilities? Day 78. If your actions inspire others to dream bigger, learn to do more, and achieve more, then you are a leader. John Quincy Adams. Human development involves taking responsibility for completing tasks. Why? Because developing people is more than learning. It is transformation. It involves people in the management process because many things can only be learned through experience. History is replete with examples of leaders who had the talent to identify and develop the talents of others. When you give people responsibility and authority, they not only learn, but they begin to take on leadership roles. This delegation transforms both people and the organization. Who identified and developed your leadership potential? Which of this person's lessons can you use to develop others? Day 79. Never do what others can do for you. Calvin Coolidge. When you develop potential leaders and empower them, it empowers both you and them and gives you something that only delegating responsibilities can give you: time. You get to do more important things, which include strategic planning, forecasting, and problem solving. You may find it difficult to delegate tasks to others, especially if you think they can do worse than you, but otherwise you cannot grow as a person. So what is the golden rule of delegation? I use the 80% rule. If someone on my team can do at least 80% of what I do, I delegate it to them. If you want to be an effective leader, you have to move away from perfectionism to pragmatism. Which of your current responsibilities can you delegate to others, guided by the 80% rule? What steps will you take to do this? Day 80. Winning is much more meaningful when it is the result of joint, rather than individual, efforts. The euphoria lasts much longer when all participants give their all, not only for themselves, but also for the team. Howard Schultz. Self-giving brings the greatest satisfaction and the richest life experiences. By forgetting ourselves and focusing on others, we are able to move mountains. Rabbi Harold Kushner stated, "The purpose of life is not to win. The purpose of life is to grow and share what you have." When you look back and analyze everything you've done in your life, the memories of the joy you've brought to people will give you more satisfaction than the memories of shutting them up and trampling them into the dirt. This is great wisdom. Helping others grow and develop gives a leader great joy, satisfaction, and energy. It creates a sense of community, gratitude, and commitment to a common cause. Take time to honestly analyze your position on the development of other team members. Write down your thoughts. Are you really willing to focus on others? If not, win it. Day 81. If you recruit the best players and train them properly, victory is assured. Bobby Bowden. Recruiting, or recruitment, is the first and most important task in developing people and building successful organizations. You can't develop employees who don't have potential, no matter how hard you try. Potential candidates must have a natural aptitude for what you need, a passion for personal and professional growth, and the right fit for the organization. In addition, you must like them. Otherwise, you cannot be an effective mentor for them. It is very difficult to spend time with people, to be open with them, and to invest effort in them if you don't like them. If possible, also test the person in a work environment and see if your team members want to work with them. If not, it's probably not the right person for the job. You used to identify potential leaders based on your intuition. Do you and other team members like them? Day 82. Good people are found, not cheated on. Jim Rohn. When I look for potential leaders, in addition to personal sympathy, I also consider the character of the candidate. Good character is the basis of trust, which is the key to strong relationships, which, in turn, serve as the basis for successful mentoring. You can't develop people whose character you don't trust. Character is the bridge between theory and practice. It connects intentions and actions. This kind of continuity is the key to successful leadership. I don't hire people who I don't think are strong and committed enough. If you are going to be a mentor and plan to change the character of your ments, your expectations may be tempered with disappointment. Describe the character traits of potential leaders on your team. Which of the following qualities give you confidence that these people can be trusted with important tasks? Day 83. Stars can always help out a team, rank and file players only sometimes. Charles Barkley. When developing potential leaders, you should demand from them not what they would like to give, but what they are capable of doing. To maximize people's leadership potential, you need to assess their abilities in the following areas. Management of stressful situations, the ability to withstand and overcome pressures, obstacles, and failures. Professionalism, the ability to perform specific tasks. Thinking, the ability to be creative, strategize, solve problems, and adapt to situations. Leadership, the ability to gather followers and build a team. Life attitude, the ability to remain optimistic and goal-oriented in adverse circumstances. Your goal should be to assess your people's potential, find out how they see their capabilities, and help them close the gap. Analyze the leadership potential of your team members by assessing their abilities in the 5 areas listed above. Write up a detailed written questionnaire for each of the potential leaders. Day 84. I have good players and bad players, but only the best of them can get everything I'm capable of as a coach. Low Holtz. I recommended that you hire people based on criteria such as likability, character, and potential. Add to these another, personal contribution. Some people have superpowers. They are born winners. They go above and beyond the call of duty and raise the morale and performance of the entire team. If you meet such people, be sure to take them on. Working with them is a pleasure, and any investment in their development will pay off handsomely. If you want to be better, hire the best people. If you want to develop better leaders, hire people who fit these 4 criteria. Which potential leaders on your team stand out because of their contributions? Describe those contributions. Prioritize the development of these individuals. Day 85. The secret to success is to work more with the team than with individual players. As a coach, I don't want my people to play better, I want them to play better together. Knut Rockne. Outstanding coaches know that it's not enough to just recruit good players, you have to put them in the right positions to maximize their value to the team. To do that, you have to have a clear understanding of the strengths and weaknesses of each player and how they relate to the needs of the team. In his book From Good to Great, Jim Collins puts it like this: before you go on a trip, you get the right people on the bus and put them in the right seats. Successful people find their seats. Successful leaders help them do this. Sometimes it requires rotation of personnel to see who is doing best with what tasks. Yes, there will be mistakes and failures. But you, as a leader, have to take it all calmly and understand that staffing is a process. Otherwise, you won't be able to help your people fulfill themselves. Does your team need to be reshuffled? If so, who should be moved to which position? Day 86. The best example of leadership is leadership by example. Jerry McCain. Although I have already written about the importance of personal example, I would like to specify the qualities necessary to develop the leadership potential of others. Authenticity is the foundation of human development. Ministry is a spiritual component of people's development. Growth is a measure of people's development. Mastery is the standard of human development. Enthusiasm is the fuel for people's development. Success is the goal of people's development. To help people grow, you have to be a role model for them. What do you think are your qualities that motivate team members to develop their potential? In what areas do you need to improve and grow? Day 87. The main source of failed appointments is an inability to think carefully about the requirements of a new position and an inability to help others do so. Peter Drucker. It's not enough to just tell people what they need to do. It doesn't help develop their potential. A leader must help people do their jobs well. So how can this be accomplished? In my opinion, the best training method is a 5-step process. Here's what it consists of. Stage 1. I do the work, competence. Stage 2. I do the work and you help me, demonstration. Stage 3. You do the work and I help you, mentoring. Stage 4. You do the work, stimulation. Stage 5. You do the work and teach others, reproduction. If you adopt this method, you will not only develop new leaders, but also teach them how to develop others. Write down one task that you will demonstrate to one of your team members today so that the person can do it independently in the future. Day 88. People are guided so that they can prove themselves. Socrates. If the only thing you are teaching new leaders is to advance their careers, then you are not really helping them to fulfill themselves and succeed, because life is not just about jobs and careers. A leader's duty in developing other leaders is to help them rise to the next level and improve the quality of their lives. A true leader always notices people's shortcomings and faulty judgments, not to speculate on them, but to help them achieve even greater success. The leader motivates them for personal growth in all areas of life, and not only motivates them, but also supports new leaders in every way to help them overcome life's challenges. Are there people on your team who have the ability and desire to change their lives for the better, but they are not succeeding? What might be the reason? Can you give that person some encouraging and motivating advice? Day 89. The best manager is the one who has enough instincts to recruit the right people and enough self-control not to get under their feet. Theodore Roosevelt. I must admit that it is very difficult not to get under people's feet, especially when you are an ace at your job and the person to whom you are delegating it is a novice. Nevertheless, delegating tasks is one of the most important factors in motivating and developing potential leaders. To do this, you must trust them, believe in them, and give them responsibility. By trusting people, you strengthen your relationships. By believing in people, you increase their motivation. Few things are as uplifting as faith, but it must be genuine, because fake feelings and emotions do not generate enthusiasm. By giving people responsibility, you increase their chances of success. Why? Because they focus on goals, try to meet deadlines, and in most cases exceed the leader's expectations. Without accountability, it's hard to get results. Write down 3 tasks that you delegate to potential leaders on your team and then note how they completed the assignment. Day 90. The ultimate test of leadership is the ability to leave behind those who can continue what they have started. Walter Lippmann. I want to share with you a vision of what some leaders achieve the pinnacle of leadership. These rare individuals are so successful at leading people over a long period of time that they create a generation of leaders in their organization. Leaders who reach the pinnacle of success stand out from the crowd. They are an order of magnitude taller than others and seem to have success everywhere they go. They elevate the entire organization and create an environment where every team member contributes to the overall success and maximizes their potential. High-performing leaders often have influence that extends beyond their organization and industry. Few leaders reach the pinnacle of leadership, but all leaders leave a legacy. What kind of legacy would you like to leave behind? John Maxwell. John Maxwell is a world-renowned leadership expert and author of books that have sold more than 20 million copies. More than 1 million leaders have been trained in his seminars and courses. His books have topped the bestseller lists of publications such as the New York Times, Wall Street Journal, and Business Week. Maxwell was one of 25 authors elected to the Amazon.com Gallery of Fame.